Hey guys, it's the Mad Master here. I just took a shower, so my hair is pretty frizzy, but I'll be doing this review anyways. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to do a revamping of my website, Mad Warriors Metal Madness, which is a site I've had probably since about 2010. And the most famous thing I've done on that was interview a Tom Angel Ripper from Sodom, which was pretty cool, but I really didn't get any more successful than that, really, with that website. However, I'm going to revive it, and I'm going to probably integrate my videos and my blogs and all this shit, and I'm starting to write again, too. So I'm starting to write short stories and starting to write articles, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff. So this is just going to be the first piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to put together. And also, it might not be the best quality, but I'm going to work on that as well. So anyways, and the fact of the matter is, this is a little bit late because this album came out a month ago almost. Well, in 8 days it came out, or 7 days, it'll be a month. But it's a review of Metallica's new album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. So like everybody, I was cynical when the first single came out, which was the self-title, or the title track. And I didn't really think, oh yeah, it's just another Death Magnetic throwaway, blah blah blah. The problem with Death Magnetic was really down to the production. It was just shit because of the mixing and the mastering being all clipping and too loud. And there was this guy, I don't know if he was on the Metallica forum or he was, I can't remember, it's been a while. His name was Moderus, Moderous, and he did, so this is what happened with Death Magnetic was that there was a version that came out for Guitar Hero Metallica, that had the stems, which are the audio files of the original album, unmixed and unmastered. So they did their own, Guitar Hero did their own mix, but you could actually extract it from, if you knew what you were doing with the video game, you could extract it and actually make your own mixes. And Andy Sneap infamously, or famously, I should say, did a mix of one of the songs. I don't know where that is, but it was on a forum a long time ago. I don't know if he got rid of it or what. But anyways, it was, a very controversial album because of that, even though the music was pretty good. So I bought it because I was just curious. And I actually bought it. I went to the store and bought it. There were people, like asking for it when I was there. Like, it's actually, it was pretty cool to see like metalheads of different ages going in there and buying a fucking CD, It was pretty cool. So, and I bought it because I wanted to do a review and I wanted to actually own it to show you that I didn't just download it and fucking pirate it. Here you go. It's the 2 CD or 3 CD version. So, what do I think? Well, I think that Death Magnetic had a really shitty production as far as the mixing and mastering, as far as those elements. And especially, it's really weird, but Metallica's kind of had some questionable production choices through the years. Whether it be Justice with no bass, or Saint Anger with that weird, tin can snare drum or whatever, or Death Magnetic. So I think the first thing I noticed is I watched some making of videos, and James was there. James Hetfield was there constantly. He was saying, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that." What I think is that Rick Rubin and whoever, Lars probably, decided that this, the Death Magnetic album, which is the previous one, I was just going to do an impression of Lars Ulrich. Oh man, I'm going to do something exciting, wild, man. It's just going to fry the speakers. Let's put it up all the way. Do the red, man. Fucking bad impression of Lars Ulrich. But it just, in my head, that's what I think of, like that old Napster cartoon of Lars Ulrich that was around. So that's what, that's what I thought. But in this one, it seemed like they were more controlled. It was like James was there. And James was there. And someone was missing. I'll get to that later. For most of these clips. It was just James and Lars in the fucking room recording with the producer. And I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. So this reminds me kind of how things used to be in Metallica. Because you hear about all this stuff with them kind of being the control freaks of the band, but some of their best albums were done that way. So I was kind of excited. It was just like some of the riffs were pretty good. So I decided to buy it, and I'll have to say I like it. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I would give Death Magnetic probably 2 out of 5 for the actual retail version. For the remixes, I'd give it 3.5, maybe 3 out of 5. So the first thing I noticed is that the production is actually pretty meaty compared to the last few albums. It has a clean production. You can hear the instruments. It doesn't clip as much. I don't know if it does. I haven't analyzed all the audio. And it just sounds, there's something a little familiar with it. It sounds like a little more like the Black Album as far as production goes, and I noticed that. And the guitars sound pretty good. Now the bass is actually there too, which is cool. And the one bad thing I would say is probably Kirk Hammett. It sounds like just the solos were afterthoughts, and I know he's proud of his solos or whatever, but they weren't that spectacular. And I've never been a huge, I'm gonna say I'm a huge fan of Kirk in the '80s. Okay, from the '80s stuff. As far as how he soloed back then and what his choices were. I would say almost more than Dave Mustaine in a way, even though Dave Mustaine had better riffs. But Dave Mustaine's tone was always weird to me too. With solos, it was kind of like a kind of a cacophonous kind of thing with almost reminds me of Greg Ginn or something, with some of the noisy kind of. But Greg Ginn from Black Flag was supposed to be like that, but Mustaine, I don't know, it was weird. It was kind of jazzy, but I do like it. But I preferred Kirk's warmer tone from the '80s. So I'm not a hater of Kirk Hammett. I'm not a lover of Kirk Hammett. I'll say that. There's better, there's people I like better. There's people I don't like as much. I think it fits Metallica, his bluesy style. It gave them a groove more, than other thrash bands that just shred all day. So it kind of gave them a unique identity. But here it's just not there, it's just kind of an afterthought. So that was one thing I noticed, and some of the songs are pretty samey and pretty just kind of, I don't know, they're just kind of there, but they're catchy and they're fun, but they're not great. Now, as far as the best songs, I would say Hardwired, Atlas Rise. And this is going to be controversial, but I really liked Man Unkind, because it was kind of a groovy Black Sabbath kind of riff, that they wrote on that one. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's a little bit too, they could cut down the songs a little bit, But one thing that really was really good about the album is that Hetfield doesn't do the fucking yodeling like he used to do. Not as much. He's kind of back to almost like an 80s style Hetfield. And that was really refreshing, because some of Death Magnetic was like that. And you could still sort of tell the alternative influence even on Death Magnetic, and it's really diminished here. There's definitely a little bit of load, maybe 10%, 20% of load still there. But, and I never really liked load that much, I'll just have to admit. It's not Metallica to me. But Metallica's the first 4 albums, basically, to me, and the EP. But, so overall, I liked it. I think it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. It's probably their best in some ways, than anything since the Black Album. And one of the things, I just have to give it, I'm giving half this rating because of the production. They've learned their fucking lesson. They learned how to produce stuff in a clear manner again. And I'm guilty of some bad production myself, but, on my budget, I don't exactly do, of my own music, I mean. But, so, they actually did a good job on that, and some of the songs are pretty damn good. There's a lot of stuff, they talk about, there's even a song that references Call of Cthulhu and Thing That Should Not Be, it's called Dream No More, which kind of sounds like Sad But True meets The Thing That Should Not Be. The H.P. Lovecraft kind of stuff. And lyrics, vary. There's some mythical, some personal, some social commentary, no politics though, but that's one thing that really pissed me off about the last few interviews I've read is like, we're never a political band. Bullshit. Fucking Justice for All is all political, man. What the fuck are you talking about? It's just, maybe it's more social commentary, but whatever. It's kind of stupid that they said that shit. But either way, I like it. And Spit Out the Bone is a fast song. And there's one other thing I want to add to this review. There's one factor in the mix that I really was surprised by, and that is Lars Ulrich. And I know he's gotten a lot of shit over the years, and deservedly so, just because he has a big mouth and he says a lot of shit. He's kind of like Dave Mustaine in that way, but he's not as controversial in some ways. Well, he's actually more controversial in some ways and less controversial in other ways. But as far as his drumming goes, he knows he's not the best, and he's said all this stuff over the years. Now, in the 80s, he was one of the best, in my opinion. Ask Mike Portnoy about Lars Ulrich in the 80s. Come on. You can't fucking... I'm not saying like he was on the level of the Lombardos of the world or the Gene Hoglands, but he was, he was pretty damn good, and he was identifiable. Like, there's a video on YouTube of what if Holy Wars by Megadeth was drummed by Lars Ulrich, and it's like, wow, there is a style there, man. It's like him doing the style of Lars Ulrich. There is a style of Lars Ulrich. You can hear him. So on this album, he really did up the ante a little bit. It's a lot tighter. And I even saw some live stuff that was like they were playing some old stuff. I think it was Jimmy Fallon or one of those shows. I can't remember. But it was like this show, and he was like, wow, I was like actually impressed by him. He's really kind of gotten some of his swagger back. So kudos to him for doing that. Maybe it's all Pro Tooled, fucking anally retentive, like tweaking, but whatever it is, it sounds pretty good. And it's Lars Ulrich, so it's pretty, pretty controversial to say that, but, he has more of a groove on this album. So I quite enjoyed that, hearing Metallica sort of back. I'm not going to say they're back like the 80s Metallica, but it was pretty fucking decent. And, I'm picky about Metallica because ever since the Black Album, their stuff since then, and including that, has been, very commercially oriented. And there's nothing, these songs will all be all over the radio, I know. They probably already are. So the videos were pretty interesting, too. Some of the videos that they made videos for all the songs. And the one for Man Unkind, I guess, was some clips from the new video about the band Mayhem, who I'll probably be seeing next month. And there's a whole story to that, but... So... to sum it all up, I think this is a decent album. I liked it better than Dystopia. I'll just say that, better than Dystopia by Megadeth, because I don't know about Megadeth. It's just, I don't know. There's something that rubs me the wrong way about modern Megadeth. And I liked some of the grooves, and I liked some of the drumming, and some of the riffs are pretty damn good, like Atlas Rise. Definitely their best song since the 90s, at least. It was a pretty damn good song. So they've learned the lesson about production, and I hope they continue to make music that's good and, make productions that don't inspire people to do stupid shit. Like, I'm sure there's, like, people that have, like, been inspired by St. Anger's production or something. I don't think, I don't know if it's inspiring people to do bad production, but I just think, it just doesn't look good when a band goes back in a way that's really contrived. Like a band that was like a pop band, but they originally were a punk band, and they do a punk album after they're all rich or something. It's like, it just doesn't feel right. So those previous two albums didn't feel right as far as production. They're trying to do some kind of garagey thing or something. This feels right. That's one, and there's one other thing about this album. It feels natural. Like, for example, Death Magnetic, it feels like they were, like, kind of shoehorning in all these riffs and trying to be, all intellectual, progressive, and all this shit. But this one feels like they're just, like, fucking having fun. They're just jamming. It's like, yeah, oh, let's play that, man, again. It's like, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They're just playing what they want to play. And this album, that's why it's like, some of the songs are kind of like, well, this could be better, but it sounds like it's what James has in his mind because he's influenced by all this kind of groove, like, you know, he's influenced by like stoner rock, doom metal, sludge kind of stuff a little bit more, you know, like you see in some kind of monster. He's wearing a trouble shirt. He's wearing like a fucking, I don't know if he's wearing like a crowbar, or, you know, whatever. He's into like some of that kind of stuff. So he's more into the groove now. So it's a little bit different, but it feels natural to him. You can tell. So the performance and the music of this album felt a lot more natural, felt a lot more smooth. That's all I got to say about the album. Please subscribe and check out my blog, and that's all I got to say.